The Interstellar Council had not convened in centuries for a matter as serious as this. Its chambers stretched like a cathedral of glass and metal, suspended in orbit above a luminous blue planet. The representatives of the galaxy's greatest civilizations floated in levitation chambers, their forms strange and varied, some made of crystal, some of shifting energy, others resembling the most unusual shapes imaginable. Yet none had ever seen a species quite like humanity. On the floor of the chamber, humans stood in groups, their presence modest, yet unyielding. Unlike the other species, they did not float. They did not shimmer with internal light or pulse with energy. They simply stood. And yet, there was something in the way they held themselves that made the air tense, the quiet confidence of a species that had survived countless challenges on their home planet and come to the stars despite it all. The trial of advancement had lasted decades. The Council had watched humanity closely. Every step, every achievement, every failure had been scrutinized. Other civilizations often claimed humanity was reckless, emotional, or short-sighted. They had predicted failure after failure. Yet here humanity was, alive, whole, and remarkably competent. The trials had been impossible, set to test not only intelligence, but morality, creativity, and resilience. When a rogue star threatened to destabilize a nearby system, humans had devised a solution no other species could. They did not have the fastest ships or the strongest weapons, but they had ideas, they had courage, and most importantly, they had a sense of purpose that refused to bend. Now, the Council gathered to cast their final vote. A deep silence fell, broken only by the low hum of the levitation chambers and the distant echo of artificial gravity adjustments. Each representative spoke, their voices echoing unnaturally in the vast chamber. Some words were careful, measured, designed to show wisdom. Others were sharp, full of distrust. "Humanity is unpredictable," said a crystalline being whose voice sounded like wind through glass. "They act without the deliberation our species rely on. To invite them into the Council fully would risk chaos." "Unpredictable, yes," agreed a shifting mass of energy that pulsed rhythmically, "but also uniquely effective. They solve problems no one else can. Yet that is not governance. They cannot be trusted to act consistently across civilizations." A tall, insectoid delegate clicked its mandibles in thought. "They have empathy, an emotion that clouds judgment. Will they always act in ways that preserve balance, or will they impose their morality on others?" The humans listened silently, their faces unreadable. They had heard these concerns before. What the Council called recklessness, humans called creativity. What they called emotion, humans called empathy. And what they called chaos, humans simply called survival. Finally, the vote was cast. By the narrowest of margins, the Council decided humanity may walk away. They shall leave the interstellar political order, at least for now. There was a pause, a moment of uneasy relief. The Council believed it had made the safe choice. Humanity would leave, out of reach of other species, and any potential disruption would be contained. The humans did not protest. They did not raise their voices or beg to stay. They simply nodded, turned, and walked toward their starships. Each step was quiet but deliberate, a testament to a species that did not need validation from ancient aliens. They left behind the chambers, the levitation pods, and the whispers of the Council, and stepped into the cold silence of space. Their fleet was modest, small in comparison to the vast empires of the galaxy. Their ships were not the fastest, nor the most powerful, but each was crafted with care. Engineers, scientists, and explorers worked together, not for glory, but for survival, for progress, for the thrill of discovery. As the human fleet departed, the Council watched. The chamber was unusually still. The representatives expected to see humans falter once they were free of oversight. They expected mistakes, conflicts, perhaps even failure. But humanity did not falter. Even before they reached the edge of the sector, humans began to apply what they had learned. On a barren, rocky planet with a thin atmosphere, they began constructing a settlement that could sustain life. Engineers designed machines that purified water, generated energy, and built shelter. Scientists monitored the environment, learning quickly how to adapt to the harsh conditions. Children played in the dust, laughing, while adults worked tirelessly, demonstrating both patience and determination. Back in the council chambers, a debate began. The crystalline delegate, who had warned of humanity's unpredictability, whispered to its neighbor, "Did we misjudge them?" "Perhaps," said the energy being, its glow dimming slightly. "They act in ways we do not understand, but there is effectiveness in it, efficiency, purpose, and results. We may have underestimated them." The insectoid delegate clicked angrily. "We made a mistake. Mark my words. In time, humanity will return, and when they do, the galaxy will be changed." Humans did not know, and perhaps did not care, about the Council's whispers. Their attention was on their new home, on the stars, on the vast unknown that stretched before them. They mapped the planets, cataloged the minerals, and began creating networks of communication and transportation. Trade and collaboration flourished between colonies. Even isolated species on distant worlds began to hear of humans, of their ingenuity, and of their willingness to help without seeking power or dominance. For humans, this was only the beginning. They faced dangers that no one else had solved: rogue asteroids, unstable planets, natural phenomena beyond comprehension. But they approached each challenge with creativity. When a magnetic storm threatened a settlement, they built shields from available materials. When a river ran dry, they created irrigation systems that transformed deserts into fertile land. Their victories were quiet, often unnoticed by the galaxy at large, but each one was a testament to what humanity could accomplish when free from constraint. Meanwhile, the Council grew restless. Reports came in from scouts observing human colonies. Strange signals of human design appeared near distant systems. Minor incidents like resolving resource shortages or stabilizing dangerous planets began to accumulate. The Council realized, too late, that humanity was not just surviving, they were thriving, and thriving in ways no one had anticipated. In the chambers, representatives argued. "We let them go thinking it's safer." "But we were wrong," said the crystalline delegate. Its voice shook slightly, betraying worry. "They are not reckless," countered the energy being. "They are methodical, but in ways we do not perceive. They learn, they adapt, and they do not follow our rules. That is what makes them powerful." The humans, still unaware of the Council's turmoil, looked to the stars. They did not seek revenge or recognition. Their goals were exploration, understanding, and growth. They built schools, research stations, and fleets of ships that could traverse light years in months rather than decades. And as they did, whispers spread among neighboring civilizations. Humans were not merely surviving, they were excelling. It was during one such moment of progress that the first signs of the Council's regret became clear. A scout ship detected an anomaly in a nearby system, a human-engineered solution preventing a planetary collapse that no other species could have managed. The reports reached the Council, and for the first time, doubt filled the ancient chambers. The human fleet, meanwhile, sailed further into uncharted space. They encountered strange planets with extreme conditions, scorching deserts, frozen oceans, and toxic atmospheres. Each planet presented a new challenge, and each challenge was met with creativity. Human scientists discovered ways to manipulate local resources, engineers built machines that could survive and thrive, and communities flourished. Every success spread tales across the galaxy. Isolated species marveled at what humans could do. Even the most skeptical civilizations began to reconsider what they thought they knew about humanity. And deep within the council chambers, fear slowly replaced confidence. The decision to let humanity leave had seemed wise. It had seemed safe. But the more humans demonstrated their abilities, the more the council realized their error. Humanity had walked away quietly, without confrontation, without demand. But in doing so, they had unleashed the very thing the council feared: a species that could solve impossible problems, unite unlikely allies, and thrive without oversight or control. And the galaxy watched, some with admiration, some with fear, as humanity stepped boldly into the unknown, ready to prove that no obstacle, cosmic, political, or social, could hold them back. Humanity's departure from the Interstellar Council did not slow them down. If anything, it gave them a freedom they had never truly known. Without the constant scrutiny of alien observers, humans could act as they wished, explore as they wished, and grow as they wished. Their ships, modest yet efficient, spread out across nearby star systems. Each vessel carried engineers, scientists, medics, and explorers. Every planet they approached became a laboratory, a home, and a new beginning. The first few colonies were rough. Humans landed on rocky worlds with thin atmospheres, frozen moons with ice storms, and deserts where the sun burned relentlessly. Many other species would have turned away, leaving the planets to rot. Humans did not. With creativity and collaboration, they made these worlds habitable. They built water purification systems, energy generators, and protective shelters, often using materials native to the planets. Even when resources were scarce, humans found ways to make things work. On one barren planet, humans faced a planet-wide storm of charged particles that could disable any machinery. Alien scientists observing from a distance predicted failure within days. But humans did not panic. They designed shields that absorbed energy and rerouted power to their machinery. The colony not only survived the storm, but emerged stronger, with new technology that would be shared among other colonies. In another system, a river that was the lifeline of a human settlement dried unexpectedly. Without water, the colony would collapse. Yet humans saw opportunity, where others saw disaster. They engineered an irrigation system that drew moisture from underground reservoirs and even harvested water from the atmosphere. Within months, the dry valley turned green again, and crops thrived. It was during these small victories that whispers began to reach the Interstellar Council. Scouts and observers reported the strange resilience of humans. Colonies survived and prospered under conditions that would have destroyed nearly every other species. They created alliances with small, isolated species, teaching them new technologies and ways of governance. Reports of human ingenuity spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Inside the council chambers, anxiety grew. The very representatives who had voted to let humanity leave now questioned their decision. The crystalline delegate, usually calm and composed, spoke with unusual urgency. "We released them believing it would be safe. Now they grow unchecked. Their influence spreads faster than we can measure." The energy being, which had once admired human effectiveness from a distance, now glowed dimly with concern. "They do not act as we expect. They do not follow our patterns or laws. And yet, they succeed where others fail. Our mistake is clear, though perhaps irreversible." The insectoid delegate clicked its mandibles in frustration. "We cannot underestimate them any longer. If they continue this trajectory, humanity will become a force the Council cannot ignore or control." Meanwhile, humans themselves remained focused on their work. They were aware of the Council's scrutiny during the trials, but now, free from political interference, they concentrated on the tangible: building, exploring, and helping. They made contact with alien species previously thought unreachable. Traders, explorers, and emissaries who had been isolated for generations welcomed humans, intrigued by their ingenuity and cooperative approach. On a distant ice world, humans discovered a species of silicon-based life that had never been contacted. Previous expeditions had failed to communicate with them, but humans found a way. Through observation, experimentation, and patience, they learned the species' language. Slowly, trust was built. Humans shared tools, shelter designs, and strategies to survive the planet's harsh conditions. In return, the silicon species shared knowledge of the planet's minerals, which humans later used to enhance technology for other colonies. Every success, every breakthrough was a reminder that humans did not rely on raw power. Their strength lay in adaptability, collaboration, and relentless determination. Unlike other species that depended on strict rules or advanced technology, humans used their minds, their creativity, and their understanding of morality to succeed. Yet with every achievement, the Council grew more uneasy. Reports of human successes now reached them daily. A colony that transformed a barren desert into a thriving agricultural hub. A team that stabilized a rogue asteroid threatening to collide with a populated system. Communications showing humans mediating disputes between alien civilizations. The Council realized they had underestimated humanity's true potential. They had dismissed a species they thought weak, emotional, and chaotic. But humans were proving them wrong in ways no one could predict. The crystalline delegate spoke urgently. "We cannot ignore them any longer. They are no longer a minor species. Humanity is evolving faster than we anticipated." The energy being nodded, its glow flickering. "And they are teaching others, not through force, but through example, cooperation, innovation, empathy, traits we did not think would allow them to excel at this scale." Even as the Council debated, humans continued their work. They did not seek revenge or recognition. Their colonies multiplied, forming networks of trade, science, and communication that spanned multiple star systems. Ships traveled from colony to colony, carrying supplies, knowledge, and personnel. They established research stations on planets no other species dared to colonize. In one system, humans encountered a planet plagued by violent magnetic storms. The storms made conventional technology useless, and previous attempts by other species had failed. Humans, however, adapted. They built machinery powered by the planet's magnetic fields, shielding the colonies while harnessing energy that had been impossible to use before. The storms no longer destroyed their settlements. They fueled them. This ingenuity did not go unnoticed. Nearby species, once skeptical or even hostile, began to view humans as leaders and partners. Even empires far more advanced technologically began to send emissaries to learn from them. Humans, however, never imposed their ways. They taught only when invited, offered assistance without demands, and demonstrated solutions through results rather than words. Back at the Council, panic began to set in. Representatives realized the vote to let humanity walk away had unleashed something powerful and unpredictable. The insectoid delegate banged its limbs against the levitation chamber in frustration. "We gave them freedom, and now freedom has made them unstoppable." The crystalline delegate added, "It is not merely survival. They thrive. They improve themselves and everyone around them. Their progress is exponential. What we released is beyond our control." Even the energy being, usually the voice of reason, admitted, "They do not follow our logic, yet every action they take succeeds. We cannot predict their next move, nor can we stop them. Our error is undeniable." Meanwhile, humans faced challenges no other species had solved. A rogue black hole appeared near a cluster of populated planets. Other civilizations panicked, unable to approach. Humans studied the anomaly, calculated trajectories, and tested theories. After weeks of preparation, they constructed a solution that involved precise gravitational manipulation and energy redirection. The black hole's threat was neutralized without harming any planets. Across the galaxy, news of this feat spread. For the first time, the Council realized the scope of human capability. Not only could humans survive impossible conditions, but they could also solve problems that threatened entire systems. They were no longer merely a species to be watched. They were a force to be respected, even feared. The Council's chambers were filled with tension. "We underestimated them," the crystalline delegate admitted quietly. "We thought humanity could be contained, but they are beyond containment, beyond control. We cannot ignore this." The insectoid delegate clicked angrily. "And yet they act without malice, without desire for conquest. It is infuriating. They succeed through cooperation, not domination. They win because they are human." Humans themselves, oblivious to the Council's turmoil, continued to expand and improve. They created new technologies, solved natural disasters, and forged alliances. Every system they touched became more stable, more productive, and more peaceful. Their influence spread not through force, but through innovation, morality, and determination. By the end of this phase, humanity had grown beyond what anyone could have predicted. They were no longer just survivors. They were leaders, innovators, and problem solvers on a galactic scale. The Council, once confident in their judgment, now faced the terrifying reality. The species they had underestimated was reshaping the galaxy in ways they could not control. And humanity, as always, continued onward, quietly, steadily, and with unshakable resolve. Humanity had grown quietly, steadily, and remarkably, far beyond what the Interstellar Council had anticipated. Their colonies flourished, their fleets expanded, and their influence spread across previously uncharted regions of space. They did not seek to dominate or control. Humans acted out of necessity, curiosity, and a desire to help wherever they could. Yet with every success, the Council's unease grew. It was during one of humanity's exploratory missions that the galaxy faced an unprecedented threat. A rogue black hole, ejected from a collapsing star cluster, was moving toward a densely populated cluster of systems. Scientists from various civilizations panicked. The gravitational pull threatened entire planetary systems, and no conventional technology could stop it. Entire fleets were mobilized to evacuate populations, but the Council feared the worst. Billions, perhaps trillions of lives could be lost. When the news reached human command, the response was calm, deliberate, and immediate. Humans had faced impossible odds before. They did not panic. Instead, teams of scientists, engineers, and pilots collaborated to understand the anomaly. They studied its trajectory, analyzed its energy emissions, and tested theories of gravitational manipulation. Council observers watching from a distance were astonished. They expected hesitation, perhaps failure. But humans worked with efficiency, creativity, and unwavering determination. Unlike other species, humans combined intuition with rigorous analysis. They did not rely solely on technology. They relied on ingenuity, improvisation, and an understanding of nature's laws. The human fleet approached the black hole cautiously. Ships carried advanced gravitational stabilizers, energy converters, and probes designed to test conditions in real time. Humans on board coordinated constantly, recalculating strategies as new data arrived. The process was meticulous. Every move was calculated, yet flexible, able to adapt to unforeseen circumstances. Meanwhile, the Council convened an emergency session. The insectoid delegate slammed its limbs against the levitation chamber. "We thought we controlled them. We thought they were limited, yet they stand ready to confront a threat no one else dares face." The crystalline delegate, usually calm and methodical, admitted unease. "We underestimated them. Humanity is not only capable of solving problems beyond our abilities, but they do so with precision and creativity. Their potential is frightening. On the edge of the black hole's gravitational influence, humans executed their plan. They deployed energy field generators that amplified and redirected gravitational forces. Ships formed a network of stabilizers, creating a controlled orbit around the black hole. It was a delicate operation. A single miscalculation could result in catastrophic collapse. Human engineers, working in real time, adjusted the energy fields with precise synchronization. Scientists monitored the gravitational waves, feeding information to pilots who maneuvered ships through dangerous currents of space-time. Colonies across nearby systems watched from communication arrays, their citizens holding their breath as humans undertook a feat no other species could attempt. Hours passed. The black hole's pull grew stronger, yet the human fleet persisted. Energy fields hummed with power, bending space-time slightly, enough to redirect the black hole's path without harming surrounding planets. Every action was a testament to human ingenuity, collaboration, and courage. Inside the council chambers, panic turned to astonishment. "They are controlling the uncontrollable," whispered the crystalline delegate. "We thought such feats impossible. They are beyond our comprehension." The energy being glowed dimly with concern. "It is not mere technology. It is their understanding, their insight, their ability to adapt. Humanity solves problems that the Council could not even attempt." Finally, the tipping point came. Through a combination of gravitational manipulation and energy redirection, humans stabilized the black hole's trajectory. It no longer threatened the cluster of systems. Entire civilizations breathed a collective sigh of relief. The crisis had been averted, not through sheer power, but through intelligence, collaboration, and determination. Council representatives were stunned. The insectoid delegates' mandibles clicked rapidly in disbelief. This species, they have saved trillions of lives, and yet they do not seek credit, do not demand power. They act for the sake of survival and morality. How did we misjudge them so completely? The crystalline delegate spoke quietly, almost to itself. They have proven every doubt we ever had wrong, and yet they remain human, emotional, unpredictable, compassionate, ingenious. We let them walk away. And now the galaxy has seen what we cannot control. Humans, unaware of the Council's inner turmoil, continued to work. They assisted neighboring civilizations, shared knowledge, and helped rebuild infrastructure damaged by gravitational turbulence. Their colonies thrived, their fleets explored further, and their reputation as problem solvers spread across the galaxy. Word of their success reached even distant species that had previously ignored humans. Entire civilizations began sending emissaries, eager to learn from the species that could solve impossible problems. Humans taught only when asked, shared only when needed, and never imposed. They led not through power or dominance, but through action and example. The Council, humbled and awed, observed quietly. They had made a mistake, yes. They had let humanity walk away. But the lesson was clear. Never underestimate the spirit, creativity, and courage of humanity. The galaxy had witnessed the rise of a species that could face impossible odds and succeed, not because they were strongest, fastest, or most advanced, but because they were human. And humanity, as always, continued forward, quietly shaping the galaxy through ingenuity, morality, and indomitable will.